Let me ask you a question. Would you like to have better sales conversations that lead to more deals? Your conversations are the heart of your ability to actually close business. I see two things in the selling profession. One is you see salespeople who are just showing up and throwing up all over their prospects. They're pitching, they're talking about their products and services, they're focused on the features and the benefits, and they're focused on themselves. The other sales professionals are the ones that show up, understanding problems and offering solutions. With the first category, they're not offering much value. And they're trying to engage in a conversation around questions, which is good, but they're not bringing much value to the conversation. And so, as a result, buyers are obviously a little bit wary. Maybe the prospects are saying, or they're thinking, why should I tell you about my challenges? Shouldn't you already know? In this video, I'm going to share how you can change your sales conversations and close more deals. And I'd like to ask you a favor. If you found some value in what I will share with you, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. Sales conversations that close more deals. Number one, showing that you have insight to offer is key to getting that conversation in the first place. We need to establish as salespeople that we have the authority, we have the value. We're going to offer them value at the very beginning. This is a really important distinction. And the early part of the conversation, whether it's on the phone or it's face-to-face at the beginning of the meeting, we want to start with something that's different. What are your biggest challenges or what's keeping you up at night, and get really focused on solving their challenges. So how are you actually opening the conversation? Your opening is not about using your value proposition, but using an approach, talking about some of the key challenges that they're experiencing. So say something like, John, what I'm seeing with organizations like yours is the following, right? And then list a couple of these key challenges affecting these organizations. What you do then is you start the conversation that way and get permission to ask some questions and give them pieces of the info you're seeing that really are the reason that they're facing those problems in the first place. You want to show your understanding of what's going on. So it's really an extension of your opening play where you're focused on the challenges, not on the benefits of what you offer or the features or anything about you. It's all about them. And what are those key challenges? And then lastly, we want to engage prospects in that conversation, right? And now we're engaging them with simple questions like, do any of these issues ring true to you? Or do you see any of these issues in your world? So you're engaging them in a conversation with the goal of pulling them into a conversation where now they're starting to talk about their challenges. And when you start asking questions, they're not just going to rush. No more, just tell me what the price is, or tell me more about the product. And now you're going to be in that consultant role and you're going to understand exactly what's going on, which leads to part number two, learn to disqualify. The typical salesperson thinks we need to persuade prospects to do business with us. We don't need to persuade people to do business with us. Instead, what we want to do is we want to disqualify and asking, is this a fit for the both of us? Now, you want to dig into those key challenges the prospect is facing around the areas that you focus on. Of course, you want to understand exactly what those challenges are. We're slowing down the conversation just a little bit, and we're letting them tell us about some of the key challenges that they're facing at the moment. So there are a lot of questions like, help me understand why you say that, or tell me a little bit more about that, or can you give me an example of that? Just basic questions to open up the prospect and get them talking about their key challenges. The next step is to go into cost. We want to understand, what is the cost of these challenges? What's the upside? What if we're able to solve those challenges? What does it mean? Or do we want to focus on the cost and then come back to this idea that cost is so important because people will do so much more to stop from losing something than they will to actually go out and gain something. So we want to understand, what's the cost of these challenges? What does this mean to the organization? So simple questions like, what are these challenges actually costing you or the organization? Or if you were able to solve this, what would that mean? Would it mean additional revenue? Would it mean more customers? Would it mean more sales? If the cost of these challenges isn't much, it's not worth it right now, and we know it's time to disqualify for them. So what's in it for them? Focus on that. Number 3, you need to show the prospect you can actually solve their problems. This is really important to understand where we are in the sales process, right? We've already shown insight. We've disqualified people to the point where we know that this person at this point is a good fit. And now we're demonstrating that we can solve the problems, and that's where a case study presentation comes in. People are persuaded so much more by stories. If you start throwing out tons of facts or features and benefits, or you're trying to tell them the solution, they're much more likely to actually resist, okay? But when you tell them a case study or a story where maybe there were results as a result of that story, now they're engaged in the conversation, they cannot fight with the facts of the story. Demonstrate how your solution will help their organization. So that means mentioning what were some of the earlier challenges that maybe this other client was facing, and then what was ultimately done, and then what were the results. It's a very simple, basic approach to a case study. The next piece is dealing with objections. If you have done a good job until now, you're not going to be getting a lot of objections. The key to handling objections is to avoid them in the first place. Be strong up front in the disqualification process, and you're going to have far fewer objections. But there's still a chance that you're going to have an objection or two if you've done a good job, all right? You want to really understand why they're sharing an objection. So maybe they say the price is much more than expected. Most salespeople will start defending that price. Instead, try this. I really appreciate you sharing that. Help me understand why you say that. We want to clarify exactly what they mean and why they're saying that. And so now we start in a conversation, and we can really, unpack and discover what they're most focused on. Most objections are really smoke screens. Most of the time, it's not about the price. It's really more about they don't know or they don't feel like your solution is going to solve the problem. And so they do care about the budget because they're not convinced what you're going to do is actually going to solve the challenges that they have, and then bring the conversation back around to what they really care about. So these tips are how to have sales conversations that close more deals. If you got some value out of this video, please give it a thumbs up or a like, because it really helps me out and the YouTube algorithm.